Ladies and gentlemen of YouTube, welcome back to another episode of Sir Enzo Reviews. Today we have Final Fantasy Type 0 HD on the docket. This is a remake of a PSP game that was originally released in Japan and nowhere but Japan when it first came out, and it was a PSP exclusive. Sold a bunch of consoles over in Japan. It was a pretty good exclusive, something that the PSP needed and lacked for the most of its lifespan. And it's been remastered, redone in HD graphics, and, put on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. And so what is this? Is this just like every other Final Fantasy game? Well, no, it's not. It is a little bit different. It does set itself apart in some areas. There's a lot of good, arguably a lot more bad. Not even necessarily bad, just the game feels as if it's just trying to do either not enough or too many things. Well, what do I mean by that? Well, there's missions in the game. The game takes place during a war. They don't really kind of give you much background detail on the war, why everybody's fighting, or it's just basic Final Fantasy. There's these 4 crystals. These crystals give these 4 nations super awesome Omega powers. And this one nation that has a crystal figures out how to shut the other crystal's powers off. Well, despite the crystal being shut off, the special group of recruits called Class 0, hence the name Type 0, can still use their magic powers and whatever with the crystal shut off. That's who you're playing as. You're playing as these 14 people called Class 0, and they're like the best of the best for whatever this nation is called. I don't even remember. That's part of the problem with this game. I literally have zero investment in the storyline. Half the time I didn't even know what was going on. I just got general outlines like, oh hey, that nation has a Lassie, which is a super strong, awesome person who is like directly connected to the crystal that gives him super awesome powers. And that's mostly it. And you're just fighting a war, essentially. The entire game puts out a high school anime vibe immediately and throughout 90% of the game. What you're viewing on the screen right now, people of YouTube, is literally 90% of the game. You're going to walk around this school. It's not even a school. It's supposed to be like a military facility, and it feels like a high school. Like it's supposed to be a barracks, and it feels nothing like a barracks. You go around and you talk to people to pass the time into your next mission, or you could do little side quests which give you bonuses and stuff like that. Or you can listen to Mogul lectures which increase your stats. And then you just do the next mission, and that's literally the game. Now, that being said, there are some other interesting components to the game. There's an arena thing, so you can practice doing the combat, which is good because the combat is the entire draw to the game. Literally, that's the best and only gem of Final Fantasy Type 0 HD. The combat's sensational. It's a really great action game. Just a really good action RPG. You can control one of 14 people. As soon as one of them dies, you hit up on the D-pad and bang, you could just swap in the next character and just keep on going like nothing happened. Now, the downside of this is it's 14 characters you have to keep leveled up, because if a lot of your characters die and you hit up on the D-pad and you're bringing in like a level 12 guy on a level 32 mission, it's not going to go well for you. So you got to make sure that your whole party is up to date with the level system and stuff like that. And that can get really tedious. Really tedious. So tedious to the point where I found kind of like a glitchy thing that I made a video about last week, where you could do this secret training where it lets you gain experience while you're not logged into the game by changing the time on your PlayStation 4 up like a couple years. But that's another video. You guys can go find that on my channel. The point is, it's tedious. And like I said before, they're talking mostly, in the game, it's kind of like a high school drama. And what I mean by that is, you go and there's these other people that are cadets there, and they kind of go there to learn and train to become a soldier just like you and everybody in your crew. And you talk to them and they tell you gossip about what's going on in the city and in the world. And but it's worthless. It's just fucking worthless. It's just nothing information. It's just my cat died yesterday. Wonderful. I'm sorry your cat died, random NPC person, but what does that do for the story? It does literally nothing for me. Tell me background. There's such a missed opportunity for storytelling. If you're going to do this where I talk to a person and waste 2 hours from the time to the mission, which you see in the bottom right hand corner of the screen, all you get from it is just an item and a little bit of whatever's going on with that NPC. Very rarely, very seldomly do you get any type of lore on the game, if at all. That's such a fucking blown opportunity. And I hate having to talk to NPCs and talk to this thing and have to get the lore to the game optionally. But if you are gonna do that, put it in there at least. If I'm gonna have to do that, just fucking put it in there. Just do it so I know what's going on. I'm on what chapter am I? I'm on the 5th chapter of the game right now, and I still don't really know what's happening. I know that there's a war. That's literally it. And we gotta win the war because of reasons. That's it. That's the fucking story. And I don't really know where to go from there in terms of that. That's literally what the game is. It's just very meh. The word meh should just be the description of Final Fantasy Type 0 HD. It's very meh. The combat's great. I'm going to get into that right now. Now here we're going to get into the combat a little bit. Show you guys what that's like. So, it's very action RPG oriented. There's a lock-on system, as you can see. You hold R1, you lock onto the enemy. Square is your attack button, X is your special move, circle is usually your defense magic, and then triangle is usually your offensive magic. And then as you can see right there at the end of the match, you can harvest things. You get items, and you get MP, and health sometimes when you do that. And you could use the items for other things in the game that I'm not too well versed on. They don't really explain it very well in the game, and I didn't really care to learn about it that much because it didn't seem very important. But it's very fast, it's very fluid. One of my other huge gripes with the game, though, specifically in combat, and you could tell a little bit right here, the camera. The fucking camera. This is the worst camera system ever. Even Kingdom Hearts, which had an atrocious camera system, feels like it's light years beyond what this fucking camera system is. And don't get me wrong, I understand it's a PSP port, and the PSP only had one analog stick, and you probably weren't using it for the camera, so there's probably some type of issue there, and that's fine. But when they have a controller now, you can't tell me that they couldn't fucking solve the camera issue if they just put some fucking effort into it. It's worthless. Worthless camera. If you spun around in circles with the camera, it moves so fast and gets so blurry, you feel like you're gonna get fucking sick. That should never happen, ever. Ever. And it should be noted that the characters in the game, there's 14 of them, and the game focuses on 2 of them, Machina and Ren. And it's their little relationship, and that's fucking it. There's 12 other characters that you could focus storyline on and subplots, or integrate into the main storyline, and they do none of that. They do 0 of that. The closest thing they do to that is during in-between missions. Ace, the guy on the cover, who I thought would be the main character, who I guess kind of technically is. He can sleep on a bench during in-between missions and have these flashbacks to this cadet guy he was friends with who dies in the opening cutscene with his chocobo. That's it. That's it. It's literally the stupidest thing. And very randomly, it should be noted that sometimes during missions, there's this very weird, awkward, semi-RTS element that goes into the game. There's going to be parts where you're going to have to take over little kind of side towns that have literally zero meaning other than being in between objective A and B. And you have to go there and take it, and then that place will start supplying like troops. And then they'll go to the next town over, and you'll take that town over until you take the main objective town in a very RTS world map type of fashion. And it's very awkward. They don't really explain the control scheme that well. It's not difficult, but it's just very weird. It didn't have to be in the game. It just felt like it was just kind of put in there to give you something else to do. So, what does that leave us with? Leaves us with our final verdict. Should you buy Final Fantasy Type 0 HD? A resounding no. I would not buy it. If I can go back and redo it, I would say fuck no. I didn't like it. I don't like it. I don't even think I'm going to finish it. I'm probably about like a third of the way done with the game, and I have zero interest in beating it. Outside of maybe getting the trophies that are super easy to get in the game. But I really don't even want to do that. I feel like 90% of the value of me buying this game was getting the Final Fantasy 15 demo. Which is again another video for another time. That's fucking sad. And I hope that Final Fantasy 15 is way better than this pile of shit. Ladies and gentlemen of YouTube, my name is Sir Enzo. You are YouTube. And as always, stay classy, Internet.